All right, well, the Heritage Foundation's annual Education Freedom Report Card is being released this week, and Fox and Friends Weekend has the first look. Freedom Florida takes the top spot for the second year in a row, with Arizona in second, Utah, Arkansas, and Indiana rounding out the top five. What are the states taking home an F? Well, Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and coming in last, Oregon. Here with more is Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts. Kevin, thanks for being here. There has been a big renaissance of school choice, which I know factors big time into this Freedom Index. Talk to us about how does a state make it to the top of the list?
Well, a state makes it to the top of the list by remembering that the single most important thing that we can do in education is that every dollar spent at the federal, state, and local level, every dollar, Pete, follow that child to the school of his or her parent's choice. And so, keep in mind, as you've documented in your recent book, just a few years ago, no states had universal school choice. Just this year, we now have 9, and we're knocking on the door of getting into the double digits. So for our Education Freedom Report Card, we put a high premium on that factor. That is that state legislators and their governors realize that the most important change you can bring to the classroom is to introduce freedom and competition and choice, because we also know, as my colleagues at Heritage point out, that where you have universal school choice, it lifts all boats. All students, even those who remain in schools that are government funded, are going to benefit.
Because now they're competing for students, and they have to do better and create a better product inside that system. You know, most folks don't know, Kevin, you're an educator, you founded schools. This is something you're personally very passionate about. Does your measurement or the report card look at curriculum too, what's being taught in these schools?
It does. So in addition to education freedom, school choice, Pete, we also look at curriculum. We look at teacher freedom. We want teachers to be empowered to teach well and to be innovative. But curriculum is a vital part of that. And really, just to mention it a second time, you know, genuinely, because I'm such a fan of your book, that conservatives, myself included, as I got into public policy, often just became focused on implementing school choice, and we forgot that the radical left for 2 or 3 generations has been focused on implementing curriculum that is anti-American. You think about these protests going on that are not just anti-Israel, let's face it, they're anti-Semitic. And that's just one example of some of the sort of cultural and curricular rot we've seen in schools. And so there is a strong correlation between implementing school choice and improving school curriculum. Therefore, in our report card, we put a high premium on better curriculum.
I got to believe homeschooling is part of it, too. I'm guessing there are states where that's easier done than in others.
It is. You know, I'm an adopted Texan, and we've recently, in the last couple of years, moved from Texas to Virginia, which otherwise is a great state. But Texas is the state par excellence when it comes to education freedom for homeschoolers, which my wife and I have done for 11 years. I'm happy to report that homeschooling has also reached a tipping point in this country. Everyone in this country now knows someone who's homeschooling. It's something that benefits all students, because what it does is drive competition in the system. So, in other words, even for a family who says, I'm never going to homeschool, I don't know how I would ever go about that, totally fine. Guess what? Your child's going to benefit from it as well, because homeschooling, education freedom writ large, brings competition into the system. That's what's been lacking for the last 50 years.
Well, Kevin, conservatives have been behind the curve on education for a long time, and I want to commend you and the Heritage Foundation for taking the lead on highlighting this. More organizations on the right should follow suit. God bless you. Keep it up.
Thanks so much for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Kevin.